アメリカの CNN テレビ制作のテレビ公開捜査、ザ・ハントです。これは、警察から指名手配になっている凶悪犯人をテレビを使って探す番組です。この番組をプロデュースしているのはジョン・ウォルシュ。彼らは、これまで指名手配犯1200人を逮捕に追い詰める実績を持ち、児童虐待犯人逮捕の活動もしています。彼は、その実績から、世界各地の警察機関と密接な関係を持っています。彼は、エホバの証人の児童性的虐待者に狙いを定めました。その名はフレデリック・マクリーン。彼は、奉仕のしもべの立場を利用して、回収の子供たちを性的に虐待し、現在逃亡中です。アメリカ連邦保安官局は、マクリーンを全米に指名手配しています。マクリーンと同じ回収にいて、虐待の被害に遭った家族もテレビ出演して、マクリーンについての情報提供を呼びかけています。連邦保安官局の保安官補も捜査の状況について説明しています。
The first time I met Rick McLean was at a meeting at the Alpine Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses.
He was a ministerial servant, so he had privileges of helping the elders maybe read during the meeting. I thought he was liked by everybody. He was very easygoing.
I could relate with Rick because he worked on high-performance cars. And I've worked on race boats and race cars myself. And so on that level, we had a lot in common. And often, our two families would work together out in the door-to-door ministry.
We started doing family things with them right after their daughter was born. They wanted to go on vacation with us in the summers. They invited us over to dinner a lot, so we ended up doing a lot of things with the McLeans.
He was always wanted to do stuff with us kids, whether it be like, do you guys want to go like play games at the arcade, or do you want to go get ice cream? He was definitely respected in the church. I feel like everyone got along with him. He was definitely trusted, well-liked. I remember when it started, he would always have my brothers and I, do you guys want to come spend the night? So we would spend the night frequently. He would want to tell us like stories. As time went on, that's when he started molesting me. Basically right in front of my brothers, but they didn't even know it. I mean, lights were off and no one knew what was going on. This started probably around 8. It went on for about, I would say till I was about 13. I didn't really know what to do, so I just didn't say anything.
Pedophiles have a compulsion that they can't deal with. They will risk family, fortune, reputation to satisfy that narcissistic desire.
The first step in his process would be to gain the trust of the parents of the young girls he intended on victimizing. So he would leverage that fact of how close-knit a Jehovah's Witness community is. He would build on that to get the parents to bring children to him. Finally, in the spring of '04, the first victim confronted him and said point blank, "You molested me." And he admitted to it in front of her, in front of the adults, and in front of his wife. That was the dam busting moment, and the floodgates opened from then.
It's just something that I just tried to forget about for so long. At that point, I had just like suppressed all of this. Like, you know, you block out so much.
We were very angry. Immediately, we wanted Rick caught.
Absolute betrayal. I just couldn't imagine anything worse.
More victims started coming forward through summer of 2004. So at this point, McLean's been charged with 16 counts of sexual assault on 4 children. Rick McLean's family left him. They packed up all their stuff and moved out and left him on his own.
He wrote us a letter apologizing to us and asking for us to remember the good Rick. But I really feel there was no good in him.
He started liquidating his businesses, sold off race cars, sold off the properties that he owned. And I kind of believe he had a plan for a long time. He, some level, knew this day was going to come. At one point, Rick McLean called his wife and asked her and the kids to meet him off of a particular off-ramp in southwest Riverside County. They went out there and they met, and he said something along the lines of, "I can't go to prison, so the easiest thing for me to do is just to get out of everybody's life, so I'm gonna disappear, you're never gonna see me again."
They are the vampires of our children that live amongst us.
We found a treasure map. I'm thinking this might be my one shot to get this guy in custody. Rick McLean was revealed as a molester.
I could not believe that as hard as we had tried to give our kids a good life, that these things had happened.
It destroyed my family. I mean, how would it not? Just basically because of this sick individual.
When this young girl confronted him and outed him for the monster that he is, very shortly thereafter, he disappeared. One morning, his father-in-law wakes up. He had dumped his truck in the father-in-law's driveway. Wallet, cell phone, some letters for the family are sitting in the truck. We also found a treasure map. There was a schematic on it. There was instructions about where to find this buried container. And McLean wrote this cryptic note to his family. He said, "If something happens to me, someone will contact you and tell you where to find the house where this treasure's buried." So on the map, there was a number, 614. We knew it was part of a house number. We weren't sure that we had the complete number. We had no idea what street it was on, didn't know what city it was in, or even what state it was in. We looked and looked and looked and worked with the Postal Service, looked at maps. We're never able to really break the code of the map. We were analyzing his last business transactions, and we were able to account for everything except for one car. It was described as a 3/4 scale replica 1955 Chevy race car. Pretty unique car. And I was actually able to backtrack all the way to the guy who originally built the cars and lives down in Florida. He calls me and says, "Hey, this guy over in Daytona Beach. He has one of these cars. So I get a hold of that guy, and he says that he bought the car from this dealership in Georgia. Well, I talked to the guy in Georgia. He bought the car from an auction in Arizona in 2005. Now I'm excited because this falls into my timeline. So I end up with this huge stack of paperwork from all of the auctions that happened in Scottsdale in 2005. Found the car, pulled the information. I didn't recognize the name, but as soon as I read the address, it was the biggest, most exciting moment of the investigation. Oh my God, I decoded the treasure map because the address was the parcel from the treasure map. Perfect, absolute match for the sketch that he had left behind in the truck. I'm thinking this might be my one shot to break this thing open and get this guy in custody. What we found was just a retired guy living by himself in this house.
They showed me a picture, and they said, "Do you know this person?" And I knew it was McLean. A longtime neighbor brought Rick to my house, and Rick was going through a divorce. I invited Rick to stay in the spare bedroom. I didn't know he had a different side. I only feel badly that I helped perpetuate his freedom.
It's really sad how these guys work society, how they are able to exist amongst us and constantly count on the charity and goodwill of people.
We used the map to identify the exact spot on the side of the house where McLean had indicated on the treasure map that something was buried. We called in a special forensics team. Unfortunately, when they dug it up, there was nothing there, but there was an indentation in the ground that showed that a container had been buried there, just as he had described in the treasure map. Our best guess is that he hid some money or maybe some other important documents in there to try to keep him away from law enforcement. Once he decided to leave the house where he was staying, he dug it up and took it with him.
The hardest part about this case is that I know after 9 years that this guy is still out there. His use for the Jehovah's Witness Church was his access to victims. There are several other churches and organizations in the country that would take him in, that would give him similar access to victims.
What most people don't understand about pedophiles is the depth of their cunning. You have to live in society while you're molesting your best friends, your neighbors, or your relatives' children. They're the vampires of our children that live amongst us.
I figured they would find Rick. I didn't think it would be 10 years later. We're still wondering, where is he? Are we gonna find him? We don't even know how many kids he's molested over the last however many years.
Best case scenario that could happen is he's caught as soon as possible, trial, life in prison. And prison population has a way of taking care of business.
Rick McLean enjoys camping and is a fan of traditional country music. He's a night owl. If you've seen Rick McLean or have any information as to his whereabouts, please call 1-866-THE-HUNT or go online at cnn.com/thehunt. You can remain anonymous. We'll pass your tip on to the proper authorities, and if requested, we'll not reveal your name.